Over the past year, lots of great looking games have landed on the Xbox Series X and S consoles, ranging from the most realistic graphics to highly stylized masterstrokes. So with that in mind, I'm Craig of Pure Xbox, and here are the top 10 best looking games on Xbox right now. At number 10, we have Stray. Blue 12 Studios' feline adventure is a great place to start things off for many reasons, but my favorite and the most eye-catching is how breathtaking the lighting techniques deployed across the slums, sewers, and cities make this relatively short adventure pop. The purpose use of neon and ambient light sources to bounce off the various settings, the stellar world building, tiny details, vibrant robot characters, and of course our favorite stray cat translates so beautifully. At number 9, we've picked out Warhammer 40k Darktide. This is one of those horde grinder games like your Left 4 Deads and Back 4 Bloods, but the reason we chose to highlight Fat Shark's co-op FPS is because, well, it absolutely nails its atmosphere. Trudging through the hive city of Tertium feels gritty and grounded. The air can feel thick and smoggy. Each location you battle your way through is expertly realized and fully immersive. What's more is the hordes of disgustingly detailed enemies look and feel so great to cut to pieces. The combat is visceral, chunky, and one of the best looking murder horde experiences out there. Number 8 belongs to the destructive masterclass scene in Teardown. At a glance, the art style serves up Minecraft, only with a boatload of mods strapped to it. I get it, and I see that too, but Teardown shines when you start blowing stuff up. Tuxedo Labs have quite frankly spoiled us with a fully destructible world. Whilst the game is all about pulling off heists in creative and out-of-the-box ways, we're here for the voxels. Teardown is made up of thousands upon thousands of fully destructible voxels that make up everything in the game. Your walls, cars, boats, and buildings are all put together by tiny 3D pixels, and blowing them up to smithereens is simply breathtaking. Number 7 is a slice of artistic heaven, and the game that we're talking about is Planet of Lana. I decided that the puzzle platformer from Wishfully Studios deserved a spot in this list because of how well realized its hand-painted art direction is. On occasion, I'll admit, it can be a bit simplistic, especially when we're closer to the character models, but when you pull back to take in the bigger picture, oh, that's what we're here for. Its picturesque level designs, playful use of lighting, married with an emotional soundtrack, curates a game that I would consider a complete piece of art. If you could hang Planet of Lana in a museum for all to see, it would absolutely belong there. In 6th spot is arguably the greatest remake to ever exist, 2023's Resident Evil 4. Leon S. Kennedy returns for another romp through the iconic murder village, which made a name for itself on the GameCube back in 2005, which, wasn't known for its high-fidelity graphics for sure. But fast forward 18 years, sprinkle some love and attention onto the human barbecue, and now we have a flawless revamp of every nook and cranny to drool over. The characters, weapons, sound design, and baddies are crisp, detailed, and immersive. But what I specifically loved is how the familiar village setting changed throughout the story. The clever use of weather effects like the sun and rain to how it looked in the day and night. There's plenty of technical hoo-ha about why this is such a phenomenal game, but I'm just here for the fancy looking village. Taking the 5th spot is Cyberpunk 2077, a game that started rough but came good in the end. We're specifically looking at Cyberpunk's 2.0 update and its Phantom Liberty DLC. Firstly, neon, neon, neon. Night City is a gorgeous character in its own right, made better by the underground city of Dogtown. CD Projekt Red certainly knows how to build an incredible open world. I mean, they did it with The Witcher 3, whose next-gen update is worthy of some eyes too. The expert use of neon lighting, rain effects, and the gritty realism of it all simply blows my mind at times. Sure, it took a while to work out its kinks, but now it has. The best thing that you can do is hop on your Kusanagi motorbike, hop on the radio, and admire Cyberpunk's sprawling metropolis. Racing in at number 4, and no surprise really that we have a Forza game in a top 10 best looking list, but it's hard to ignore just how good Forza Motorsport looks on the Xbox Series X. It also got a pretty fair shake on the Series S, to be honest. The main feature I wanted to highlight in Forza is not the ray traced reflections or the hundreds of high fidelity cars on offer, the 4K resolution or its sound design, but the dynamic weather and how at times, especially how getting straight up blinded by the sun and how heavy rain races along your windscreen during races is truly immersive when you're in the driver's seat. Forza Motorsport is a game that you definitely want to play on the biggest possible TV or monitor. That way you can really soak up these tiny details so you can feel more aware of how they all come together and provide us with the best looking driving game on modern consoles. Bronze place goes to the Big Blues. Ubisoft's Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, that is. The last time I felt truly immersed in an open world setting was the snowy New York streets of the original Division game. Funnily enough, Frosty NYC and the vibrant planet of Pandora are both massive entertainment games. No point beating around the bush here and using fancy words to describe what's going on. I'm sure there's plenty, but just take it in. The lush rivers, the dense forests and windy plains of Pandora are a spectacle to behold. Beside the obvious good-looking nature of it all, the world is largely interactive too. You can pick fruit, zip up branches, bounce high in the sky off wobbly pink blobs, and touch a spiral bloop or two. Need I say more? I don't think so. Our penultimate spot belongs to the King of Fear, the Dead Space remake. Really putting the horror in HDR, EA Motive Games have absolutely nailed the creepy sci-fi vibe. Every shadow feels like a void harboring grotesque monsters who will tear you limb from limb at a moment's notice. Dead Space feels spot on when it comes to its ambient lighting. The sparse deployment of its light sources, coupled with the expert use of environmental debris and dust plumes clouding your line of sight, truly craft some breathtaking visuals. What's more is Dead Space iconic UI. Its minimal display cleverly bins off the traditional ammo count and health bars for a diegetic and simply brilliant way to communicate key information to the player. By doing this, Dead Space keeps the player immersed in the slick visuals and teeth-grinding tension rounding off the whole experience. And our number 1, no surprise here, is Alan Wake 2. Remedy are masters when it comes to fully realized environments. They nailed Bright Falls for the original Alan Wake release, and Control's oldest house is a brutalist wet dream, and with all the modern tech and brilliant minds plugging away for years now, it's no surprise our return to Bright Falls has us sweeping our jaws off the floor. Above sea level, the ambient world lighting on offer is some of the best we've seen in a video game, not to mention how fantastic the character models look. What's more impressive is how Remedy plays with light as a function, especially in The Dark Place, where our favorite horror writer spends the majority of his time. Using his magical lamp to suck the light up and change his environment in an instant is technical brilliance. Don't get us started on how impressive the speed both Saga and Alan can shift back and forth between their mind place and reality is. Let's keep it simple. Alan Wake 2 is probably the best looking game I've personally ever laid eyes on, and it fully deserves our number 1 spot. Whilst those are our top 10, I'd also like to highlight a few bonus games if you wouldn't mind. Hi-Fi Rush and its highly stylized musical adventure is a surefire feast for the eyes and ears. The tsunami of ankle biters on display in the stunning A Plague Tale Requiem, the nasty, literally pure nastiness of the immersive Scorn, and finally the soaring highs of Microsoft Flight Simulator. All of these are fantastic games that easily could have been in our top 10, so be sure to check them out. Let us know which game caught your eye in the comments. As always, thank you for watching. All that's left to say is bye-bye for now. Cheerio!